Thanks so much for joining us
Mhm.
on this podcast or this video podcast. If you wanted to just give like a quick introduction to like who you are and like
Uh-huh.
where you've been up till now.
Yeah. So I'm Vivian. I was in the BDes program since I think 2020. I graduated last May and 2025. So I did a year of co-op in my after my third year, and I went on exchange also at the during second semester. For third year, I went to University of Hong Kong, and yeah, so far I'm studying at the Harvard GSD, and it's been great. Yeah.
And were you the first year at like the first BDes year at?
I think so. Yeah, I would say it was the first year. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So
Yeah.
then, yes, because the previous guest mutually. So did you guys start in your first year
Yeah, we were in
together?
the same program. Yeah.
Oh,
Or
cool.
we were in the same cohort. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I was looking and then I saw that you went on exchange and went on
Mhm.
co-op. Where did you go for co-op?
Yeah. So co-op, I had two terms. One was at IBI, or formerly known. It's now like Arcadis. It got bought by Arcadis.
Hmm.
And then I also did a term at City of Burnaby.
Oh,
And
cool.
the first one was like more so of like architecture. And the second one was more so like studying the city side of architecture. It was sort of transportation, so more on the urban scale.
Nice.
Mhm.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Um, I guess we can just talk a little bit, like before we get into like any sort of like uh talk about your you starting your master's program, but I
Yeah.
just want to talk a bit about um, why you chose architecture even as an
Yeah.
undergraduate student, and then talk a little bit about like choosing UBC and that process.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the reason why I wanted to do architecture is pretty similar to many of us, just that I really enjoyed doing like visual arts or fine arts. And I was sort of also interested in some sort of like math studies. So I was just like, the option was to combine the two, and there's architecture. And I would say choosing UBC, I did apply to multiple schools in Canada when I was in high school. And I think choosing UBC is because they have a very like multidisciplinary program. They have like architecture, landscape, and also urban design. So I was like, in the undergrad program, I think it's better to get a large exposure to different fields. So that's why I chose UBC. And it's also close to home. So
That's fair. Oh, where's home? Are you in
Vancouver.
Vancouver? You are Vancouver. Okay, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, okay, that's nice.
Yeah. It was during the year of COVID. So I was like, I didn't want to go that far
That's
just to do
totally fair.
online school. Yeah.
Totally. Do,
Mhm.
I guess like we can talk a little bit about that like more later, but as we can talk about it here as well. Um, Are there certain like courses that you did in your undergraduate or anything that like have started to stand out like right now me getting a master's program that you think have like really helped you, or just stuff that like maybe anything that just stood out in your four like 5 years at UBC?
UBC, right? Yeah, I think in terms of courses, I didn't do many interesting courses like any other classmates that I had. Like they studied what music and or like choir. I think I did the pretty basic flow of what Sala gave us. And but I think that the term that I went on exchange was the one that I had the like sort of the most reflective term. That when I studied at HKU, it was good to see what other people are doing in their architecture school journey. So I think that really kind of set forth of what I was trying to like aim at or even have in my portfolio for our master's program. Yeah.
When you went to like since you went on exchange,
Yeah.
what did you have some options as to the different universities you could go to? And is there like a specific reason why you chose HKU?
Mhm. I think there's like a pretty wide range of universities that you can pick. There's a couple ones in Europe. There's a couple ones in in Hong Kong or like Asia. I think they had a program with Singapore also, which is one that I really wanted to, but the year that I applied to, they got rid of it for some reason. Um, yeah, the one in Hong Kong, I think I just wanted to learn a bit more about like a bit more about structures. I think they're pretty focused on like structures, towers, and that's something that Vancouver doesn't really have. So that's why I chose HKU.
It's fair. Were you for like exchanges in general,
Yeah.
was it mainly like was it was it mainly the like, HKU students, or was there like a mix of a bunch of other like exchange students from like around the world coming in? And like what was the could you tell like a difference in terms of like even the portfolios of your other like students of like the differences of what you probably learned at UBC?
Yeah, I think for us, at least the year we went, I was with another student at UBC, and also the in the same exchange term, there's two other students, one from Spain and one from China. And I think overall, there is quite a bit of difference in terms of the structure of the program and also the students. Like, for example, the one in Spain, they focused a lot on model making and very like life scale model making. And for us, it was a lot of like landscaping. And then at HKU, it was very, very structure light. So they had very sophisticated drawings and also like very detailed structure drawings. So I think in terms of that, it's a little different.
Did that did that help more when you came back for your like your fourth year at UBC as well as doing like your co-op terms and stuff like that? Do you find that
I think so because in co-op, when you work, you have to really look into the details of the drawings, and you also have to know about how like the structural work would like kind of support the building. So I think that sort of helped my work in fourth year. Mhm.
interesting? Okay, so then and was it always the plan like undergraduate and then try and go like right into a master's, or was there like did you want to like work a little bit? I know that for
Mhm.
from Uchi it was like took a year in between to work. But I think you went straight from one to the next. But I guess you also did the co-op
Mhm.
term.
Yeah, I think the co-op term was something that I didn't plan really. I just saw that they had an opening and I was just like, okay, I'll apply for the co-op. And I think that 1 year of co-op really kind of like set things for me. And I think that's kind of when I decided to go to master's because I already worked for a year. So I think it made sense to just apply straight for master's. And I think, to be honest, if my plan was like, if I didn't get into master's, I'll just work for another year and then I'll apply again. Yeah.
It's fair. And obviously you're now going to Harvard for your master's, which is a little bit farther from home this time around
Yeah.
than when you were undergrad. Was there like what were you looking for when you started to look at the different master's programs? Because obviously
Mhm.
you're kind of open to, I mean, Canada, US, as probably all around the world. There's probably so
Mhm.
many different places for you to pick from. Can you, I don't know, you can maybe talk about any other ones you were considering as well
Mhm.
if you're interested too.
Mhm. Yeah, I think just in terms of applying for masters, there's definitely a lot of things to consider. For me, I considered that I potentially want to get my architect license, so it was narrowed down to Canada or the States because they share the NCAR. And so from that, I kind of looked into universities at different locations. So for me, undergrad, I did it very close to home. So I kind of do want to go somewhere that's outside of Vancouver. So I mainly looked into like the eastern side. So I applied for U of T in Canada, and I also did apply for UBC in Canada. And in the States, I did apply for Harvard, Yale, and Berkeley. So they're pretty far from home. And I think one thing that I did that helped me narrow down is also just looking into their works, like check their Instagram pages, websites, like student works, like what kind of style that you're interested. And I think that really helped me narrow down. Mhm.
Did you find that when it came to the application process, as well as I guess the actual when you were looking at the different like what the actual schooling is like, did you find them all quite different or were they fairly similar?
I think for me, the ones that I applied to, they're quite similar in terms of style and workflow. They each of them do have something unique. Like for example, Yale has a the build project in first year where they design something together and then they kind of have teams and the selected team would actually get their project built during the summer and the students would actually go there and build with the professors, which is what I was interested also. So I think each of them have a little bit of difference in terms of the program structure, but the ones that I applied to, their student works are pretty similar, I think.
Now in terms of like, I guess we can start talking a little bit about portfolio. I think a lot of people, I
Yeah.
know again, so many, even me right now, I was like, I'm just gonna completely redo my portfolio. And I feel like that
Yeah.
happens like every few weeks. I just like want to like switch it up or like
Mhm,
always mess with it. But I also know for my classmates who were applying for, when they were applying for co-op, they had to
mhm,
make a portfolio then. And so I was just curious, yeah, we can start talking about portfolio, but
mhm,
if maybe like the differences between how you approach doing your like co-op
mhm.
portfolio versus
Yeah.
when applying for masters.
Yeah, I think in terms of well, when I was applying for co-op, I only really had those couple of projects, so I would say that that portfolio is very different than what I had used for my application for masters, and I think it's overall very, common to have 2 different ones because I think for master's application is quite academic, and then for the co-op ones are quite professional, so they do look for different things. I think the one that I did for co-op was very, um, like, adaptable to real life. Like I had projects that showed like structured details or wall sections, like things that you can use in your in work and or also like very diagrammatic, just like very quickly to show what you can do in a professional field. And for academic ones, the application ones, I kind of showed a wider range of my like academic interests and also like different skills. So I used like drawings, paintings, or I also had like very different kind of approaches. And I guess we can see it when I
Yeah,
show
absolutely. Yeah, if you want to
portfolio,
share
yeah.
whatever. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Mhm. So should I share it now
Yeah,
or
absolutely. Yeah, share it.
okay, okay. Let me see. Oh, it says send
Oh,
request.
yeah, there we go. Perfect. I will members can share. Is it
Are
allowing
you
me to?
planning to apply for co-op?
I'm not. I like a bunch of my classmates did, and they've already heard back. So like, and like,
Oh, that's great. That's great.
I think like 25 people or something in my class got in, which
Uh-huh.
is kind of crazy.
That's
Yeah.
actually really good. I think the year that I joined, they had sort of their first year for co-op. So
Mm,
it was a little bit of it was a little wonky, the program.
that's fair. Okay.
Yeah. We kinda, like, tested the water for you guys.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think it should be. Are you able to share? Oh yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Can I maybe I'll full screen it.
Yeah.
Do you see it? Okay.
Yeah, I can yeah, might wanna, yeah, there we go. Full screen. There
Does it
it
work?
works. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So, this is the portfolio that I applied for the schools that I required, 30 pages. There is a shorter one, which is 20 pages, like a more compressed one. I think UBC asks for 20 pages. So, yeah, I think overall is that the cover page, you want something that's a little bit more like it's the first page that the people are gonna see. So I think something that really a picture that you really like or something like that would be the first page. So I'll get started. And so the second page I had is a little bit of table of content, and also I wrote a little about of what my portfolio is. So I structured my portfolio in a way that really showcases my architecture style or just what I was interested in academia. And I have a little bit of excerpt for every single project. And this is the first project I did. So overall for my portfolio, I did have 3 new projects that I did over the summer, just on my own and also with a friend of mine. So I really wanted to cater my portfolio to these applications or to their to the school's liking in a way. And this is a project that was in affordable housing design. So it was an idea that I had for just kind of reusing the spaces that we don't really see in, or that we don't really use in overall. This is a median that was in between two roads. So we were designing a house that could be potentially put there. And those are the plans. And then this is the sort of the renderings that we did. And there's an idea that was like stepping from the ground floor to the second floor. So there's a mixture between the different floor plates. So you can't really tell which floor you're in when you're going through the building. And it promotes sort of like this communal aspect because it was an affordable housing. And we were thinking of it would be a rental house for many people that can occupy the floors. And this is a section that can better showcase the idea of this like stepping and blending the different floors. And so that the communal spaces would be in the middle, and then the bedrooms are on the side where they get the window views. And overall, this one, I really wanted to focus on the softwares that I used. So the drawing itself was done through Rhino, and then I'm not sure if they can really tell because I'm pretty sure they go by the portfolios really quickly, but the drawings are actually done by hand, like the furnitures and stuff. Like I did it in Procreate, so I really wanted to show like a flexibility of what I can use. And then here's another like render shots. And the second project is also a little bit more like playful because I wanted to kind of play with different shapes and stuff. So this one is an Airbnb or like a short-term rental design. I kind of played with this idea of maze. So I started off with looking into a maze or designing a maze and then extending or thickening the walls to sort of create these spaces. So this is the plan that I had, and sort of also this is done through Revit. Again, just wanted to play with different softwares and show what I can do with my technical skills. And here's an axle view of what it kind of looks like. And the third project, this is the one that I did in 401, I think, for UBC. It was an urban scale. So the first project was very like an apartment style, and the second project was like one single family. And then the third one here is like an urban scale project or an institutional project. So this one, I think, I'm not sure if it will be the same prompt for everyone, but what we did for 401 is that we had this idea of selecting a site first at UBC and to kind of propose a new building or institutional building. So for mine, it was like a combination of studies in agriculture and also I think it was science. And then so that was combined. So then I did a little bit of a site mapping to show um, what I usually do for like an urban scale project, and then a little bit of diagrammatic research. And this is the final like design of the building. And then it's also good to have some of your sketches or sketch models in your portfolio just to see like what your thinking process was. So I included that. And overall a section view. Um, and yeah, so this one is quite of like a different scale than the first two. So it's a good thing to have like different range of scales in your portfolio also. And this is the fourth project that I did at HKU. And so this one, I wanted to really showcase like the towers or the different structural elements. So this one, I had a drawing of structure itself. So this is, I think it was like it was also a redesign of what they had locally. And in terms of location wise, Hong Kong, the style of architecture is quite different than Vancouver. So I kind of incorporated that into here. And also they tend to have really large models that we build that UBC doesn't usually have. So I wanted to kind of showcase also the ability for me to build a very large scale model. So the 1 to 100 sectional model actually came out to be like almost half my height. So it was quite big. So it's also good to have different ranges of what you can do. And then the last one, also an independent study that I did kind of during the term that during September around that. And this one was more like theoretical kind of approach. And so it was a redesign for a cemetery. And so I looked into the shape of a circle and then how I can change that just by scaling it into different functions that can be placed throughout. So this one has an kind of interaction between person to animal. And then the next pavilion is sort of like a person to person reflection. And then the last one is a person in self. So it's like a very small cocoon derived from a circle or reflection. And so those five projects are sort of the architectural side of what I wanted to put in my portfolio. And then I had a section, a very small section of what personally I was interested in, like the exploration of different mediums that I mentioned earlier. So this is an animation that I did in 301 with Mari, and it was the one that do you guys still have it or
I don't think so.
no? Okay, so it was like a prompt that they gave us different floor plans, and then each group would have to sort of make an animation out of that floor plan to showcase your idea. So this is an animation. So I included a YouTube link down there. I don't know if they looked at it, but and, and then here's like a marker on paper. So this one I drew with Copic markers and to just kind of show again a range of skills. And then this one I took in, or this is a project that I did in visual arts 180, I think, in
Yes,
first
yeah.
year. Yeah, in first year. And then yeah, this is traditional Chinese ink on paper. And yeah, I think that's all for my portfolio. Yeah, I don't have a last page. Yeah, that's all.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Cool. That was so cool
Yeah.
to really look through. Thank you for showing that.
Yeah.
Um, when I found it, I think to me it was really cool that was it three of your five projects were independent study?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That's really, yeah, I think that's interesting because I think so many of us, like when we talk, we're like, sometimes we feel so bound by like, oh, but we only did this one assignment at school and we wish it went
Yeah.
farther or something like that because we think if we just did a little bit more to it, we could add it to our portfolio. So I think it was really good to
Yeah.
see like you show us like not only can you just like rework some of the stuff you've like learned from school, but you could just like completely like
Mhm.
freshly start your like some
Mhm.
projects to add in. Like did other people do that? Like what kind of
Mhm.
inspired you to want to do that?
I think for me is that because I think the projects that I did in UBC are all sort of in a similar scale. They were all like housing or singular buildings that I wanted to really explore the different scales that architecture could have. So that's kind of what I got inspired to have these different projects. And I think in terms of the thing you mentioned is that people are bounded towards the whatever they have at UBC, and also they want to explore more. I think it's definitely open to explore more. For example, if you really like this prompt in one of the studios and you wanted to explore it this way, you could definitely reuse that and then recreate something that you enjoy. And I think some other people did also do that, like in terms of having new projects that I know, like they would reuse some of the parts from their studio, maybe like half the project or something, and then they redesign the other half. Like it's definitely open to edit whatever you have. Yeah.
Really cool.
Mhm.
So how long, in terms of like the time processes took you to
Yeah.
like do your portfolio, like how early did you start it from
Mhm.
wanting like starting your application process before like submitting it? Like what was the timeline there?
I think for me, it took quite a bit of time because I had 3 new projects. I remember it was summer last year. I think I started in end of June because I just came back from traveling. I think I started end of June. And then I worked basically, so that term I didn't take a co-op because I wanted to work on my portfolio. but the amount of time I spent on my portfolio is basically 9 to 5 every day.
Yeah.
So end of June all the way till I think end of August, because I really wanted to push all of my independent studies like to be finished before school starts, before studio starts. Unfortunately, it didn't. I only did 2 of them. And then the last one I did it during September to December, like the first semester, and then I also compiled the 401 into the portfolio, and I pretty much submitted like on the dot.
What
Like
was the deadline?
I think they're usually first week of January.
First week of January. Okay.
Yeah, so roughly like 4 months. 4 months of.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Did you find like obviously I'm assuming like the doing those independent studies probably took up like the bulk of your time, but
Mhm.
in terms of like the actual formatting of, how much words on
Mhm.
the page and
Yeah.
deciding like your titles and your fonts, I think that's always like that can always be such a struggle point. I feel like that can almost take up
Mhm.
so much of my thinking time for that sort of
Mhm.
stuff. Did you
Yeah.
find like the actual formatting of all your pages and how you wanted it to get done? Did you like know from the beginning what you wanted, or was it like a process?
I think in terms of the independent study, it was formatted while I was doing the projects because I didn't want to produce extra, like I didn't want to spend more time than I needed to. I just wanted to make it more efficient. I think I did struggle a little bit of formatting the 401 project because I had so many drawings that's like produced for the final, but then it was really difficult to put it into the layouts because it didn't really match what I had for the independent study. So that took a little bit of time. But overall, I think if you were thinking about it while you're editing your projects, it shouldn't take that long. Maybe like a day or two. Yeah.
I'm getting more efficient with it slowly over time. Every time I like feel what I don't like, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And if
Um,
you already have previous portfolios, you can always like just reuse some of the things that you like.
totally.
Yeah.
Right. Before we talk a little bit about like your actual experience so far in
Mhm.
masters, do you have any more like tips or anything you want to give about like portfolios
Mhm.
themselves?
Yeah, I think portfolio itself is very I'm sure they go through it really quickly. I've heard from the professors who do the admissions. I've heard from students. They go through it like very, very quickly, maybe 30 seconds per person, 30 to 1 minute. So I think it's very important to have a very strong sense of your style in your portfolio. So it's good to show a large range, but then also keep your drawings consistent so that they know that through that 1 minute of viewing, that portfolio is you. Yeah.
Good. Oh wait, so now you got into Harvard, so
Mhm.
congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Um, uh, and so you've been there for 1 month now, and then I
Yeah,
was
one
just
month.
I was looking. So there's like an MArc 1 and there's an MArc
Mhm.
2. Can you just describe like the difference between those?
So there's 2 programs for MArc 1 and MArc 2. Unfortunately, we don't qualify for the MArc 2 because that's a program that's catered for a 5-year architecture undergrad. So I don't think there's a school in Canada that has the 5-year architecture undergrad. So we would apply for the MArc 1. There's the MArc 1 and then there's the MArc 1 AP. So AP is an advanced placement that you could skip the first year. You just have to have the qualifying courses that they ask for, and then just fill up the sheet that they give you. And then if you get selected, you get placed in the AP program. So you'll only have 2.5 years of master studies. And if not, if you do the MArc 1, which is the one that I'm in right now, you do 3.5 years. Yeah.
And then does the MArc 2 do 2 years? Is that how?
Yeah, MArc 2 does 2 years because they already had a 5-year undergrad. So
That's fair.
they would
Okay.
have 2 years. Yeah.
And then how's the experience been so far? 1 month in.
I would say it's definitely quite intense.
Okay.
Yeah, so instead of 2 day studio per week, like UBC did, they have 3 days, so Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So it's pretty fast paced, I would say. We just finished our first project in first month. And yeah, I had my first review yesterday, and I
What
feel
was
like it's been
the
just production, production, production every day.
what's your class size going
Yeah,
on?
class size, I think for this cohort, they had an unexpectedly large group of people. So I think we have around 60 people, 60 to 70. Yeah.
Oh wow, okay, that's
Yeah.
quite big. Um, and then I mean, you don't have to go through like all 3 years, but based off of like what your understanding, maybe even this first year, like what are the type of courses that you're taking
Mhm.
right now, and like what is your studio focused on right now?
Mhm. I think in terms of at the GSD is very first year and second year, I think is very just like core. So what they wanted to do, like what they want to teach you like in the fundamentals of architecture. So they have core 1, 2, 3, 4 for the 4 terms in the first 2 years. And what is interesting about that program is that the third year they have something called option studio, so you get to pick your own prof that you really enjoy, like in terms of research or academia. So you can take their studio, and it's there's like exchange terms or whatever you're interested in, and then the last half year is your thesis. Mhm. Yeah, and then I think core is pretty similar, is that you take the studio, and then there's 3 other required courses. One is, like, visualization, and then one is history, and then one is, like, environmental science. Yeah.
Because yeah, obviously since
Mhm,
we're not the 5 year undergraduate, but I
mhm,
mean, I'm assuming like it is like still a BDes, so you did learn a lot at UBC. Did you find that like working with the other people in the MArch 1, is there quite like a wide range of people's
mhm.
understanding of architecture?
Yeah, I think definitely, at least for the GSD, I'm pretty sure they have at least or not at least, but I think around 50% is non-background, so they come from various different undergrads. There's people that did, like, computer science, there's people that did economics, or people did, like, photography, like or I think yeah, the person who sits behind me also did, like, business undergrad. So pretty large range of architecture, and I guess that's why they have the core studio, so then they can teach everyone about, like, architecture.
Do you still find it like you're learning new stuff, or does it feel like some of it is repeat from undergraduate?
I think because there's such a wide range, and also in the studio is that they pair one professor with around 10 to 11 students, so it's pretty close interaction with the professor and your development of the project. So obviously, people who come from different backgrounds all have like different stages of their development. And so I think there is pretty wide range, and it's also very interesting to learn from their perspective. So I think it's quite nice that I don't feel that the work that I'm doing right now is redundant to what I did in undergrad. So yeah, I feel like I'm still learning.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I guess, and then obviously you've been like, at UBC, and then you went like
Uh-huh.
you did your exchange in Hong Kong.
Mhm.
Um, being in the US is like not too crazy different from being in Canada necessarily, but is there like a cultural shock? I don't know, like even in terms of like the school and like
Yeah.
how maybe even like an American university
Mhm.
approaches the built environment and how they
Mhm.
approach that.
I think, um, in terms of culture shock, maybe I haven't really experienced it yet, but it's kind of funny how in our cohort, there's quite a lot of Canadians, so I
Oh,
felt like
really?
home.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's at least 10 of us here.
Okay.
So, yeah, I feel like and also everyone's super nice, so the sense of community and, like, studio culture is still there, so I think overall, it's pretty similar, I would say.
Great.
Yeah.
Is there Well, thank you for like sharing all that about, especially for your
Mhm.
master's program. I think a lot of people are very interested, and um, I think it's also cool to hear like, I don't know, especially for a place like Harvard. I think a lot of people get like, I don't know, they get very excited when they hear like that, and I
No,
don't know,
I
just
think
like
everyone
to
has,
like
like,
break that like
imposter
seal and to
syndrome.
like hear about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, do you have any other like tips or like advice or anything for anybody looking ahead into their master's program or anything like that?
Yeah, I think overall, just the first step you would do is probably picking your university that you want to apply to, and just cater your portfolio towards that university. Well, not necessarily you have to have a different portfolio for every school because that's very time consuming. I know some people did do that for at the GSD where they applied to different schools and they had different portfolios. you don't necessarily have to do that, but just have a style that matches like sort of the university that you are applying to. And from that on, I think just just do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this all today. I think everybody's going to be really like happy to see that, and like I think your portfolio was really helpful to see today. So thank you for showing
Yeah,
that.
that's good. That's good to know. Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you.